Welcome back, Wolfpack. Vrolas here, and this is something that no one expected. GS Cup rules will be for 2016 VGC. Oh man, this is actually going to be a really fun video because there's a lot of history behind this, there's a lot of reasoning behind this, and honestly, I'm going to start off by saying this is going to be a really good year for Pokemon. So let's go and break this down, but pretty much GS Cup rules are what you see right here. Teams may have no more than 2 of the following Pokemon: Mewtwo, Lugia, Ho-Oh, Zekrom, all of the hard legendary Pokemon. Normally they are forbidden from competitive play, but we're allowed to bring 2 on our team of 6, and then we choose 4, and that's going to be how VGC is for 2016. Now here's the interesting thing, this has been done before. If you are new to Pokemon, you came in the 5th generation, you might not have been aware that in 2010, there was these rules, and it was actually a lot more different, that we could have 4 legendaries registered as long as we only brought 2 of them and then 2 of our other Pokemon. So there was a lot of really ridiculous stuff going on in 2010. However, I was able to dig up some teams and some strategy breakdowns. Now, even though we have legendaries, there's going to be more diversity than VGC 2015. So let's go and pull up the infamous picture. I need to go and do that really quick. But yeah, like as you can see, the diversity just was not here. This is the top 8 for Masters, and it was all the same thing. Every team either had a Mega Kangaskhan or a Mega Gardevoir. Only 2 of them had a Mega Gardevoir. Every other team had a Mungus. Like, the lack of diversity was pretty ridiculous, and you saw all the same Pokemon over and over again. Now, one interesting thing about doing a format like this GS Cup rules, is that Kyogre is going to be one of the most used Pokemon, so that means we're bringing back Rain. Now that we have Primal Kyogre, that changes the dynamic significantly, and that's why we have this right here, 2016 Pokemon Video Game Championship Series Preview. So, we have a preview, it has legendaries on it. This is a real image that exists because, yeah, Video Game Championships are going to use legendaries, and Mega Rayquaza is allowed, as well as all of the other primals, and that also means Mega Mewtwo will be allowed if you want to use it as your Mega Pokemon. So that's what we're dealing with, and then it looks like they're just going to be kind of releasing Pokemon guides throughout whenever. So yeah, part 1 of this is going to have it blue or special attacks, orange or physical attacks. So they talk about the physical and specials of the Pokemon, Lugia, what it can do. So yeah, you can read through this. I might have to do a separate breakdown, honestly. This is more of the announcement and my overview, but I honestly think it's going to be a good thing because there's going to be a huge Kyogre dynamic, and that was kind of what happened with last year. Now, Kyogre might be the main centralizing factor, but I think we're actually going to see more than 12 Pokemon in the top 8 this year because of how it breaks down, that there's a lot of counterplay to it. Do you run something like Whimsicott? Like, this is another thing that I think really was inspired by the Primal Battle. Now with the Primal Battle, there are a lot of really interesting dynamics for an anti-meta, and one thing that really stands out is that Whimsicott that I saw on a Fan Fridays that shut down Kyogre, so it had fake tears. So you go like Prankster Fake Tears into a Tank Mega Latios, and then Mega Latios had Grass Knot, so Fake Tears is going to lower Kyogre's special defense enough to where, boom, Kyogre's going to go down from that Grass Knot, and Latios also gets Surf, so I'm wondering, probably had the Worry Seed for Groudon, so you see Primal Groudon, even regular or Mega or whatever, and then you're going to be able to use the Fake Tears and Surf a Groudon, so I mean, that combo right there stopped the main thing of Primal Battle. Now we might see Mega Mewtwo, we could see other Pokemon, Mega Rayquaza would be crazy. Would the Latios be able to like Draco Meteor that? Like the matchups could go in all sorts of weird directions. That could be something really interesting. Now also Scarf Kyogre versus non-Scarf. I think we might see a dropped usage of Landorus if Kyogre just comes in and like pressures, alright, Water Spout. You can't do anything to me, I'm going to Water Spout you, and that's going to be a GG for the Landorus. And then Thunder plays, so it's going to be something that's really awesome to kind of see how it all develops. As you can see right here, you know, whenever there's weather, there's going to be rain, there's going to be Ludicolo. Or whenever there's like sunny day, you're going to see Venusaur, because it does have that chlorophyll, and that means we could have, you know, both of your Pokemon potentially being a Mega, that you bring a Primal Kyogre and a Primal Groudon, or you bring one of those in like a Mega Mewtwo Y or Mega Mewtwo X, and you can just kind of go really crazy with that. So by removing that, you can play an anti-weather. If they are running Primal Kyogre, that's actually limiting them a bit, because one of the biggest things is just Scarf Kyogre. You run that Scarf, you outspeed them with everything, and then you just go straight into that Water Spout, and you do massive damage to both opponents. But if it's a double Kyogre matchup, then you have Thunder, or you can run a Thunder support Pokemon. I really like the dynamic between if you ran like the hardest core meta or how viable anti-meta was. And whenever you're running this kind of format, It's going to be extreme amounts of power, but you can pick up some random Pokemon and it can become a really good anti-meta. This is when we saw like Gastrodon picked up a bit of momentum in this, well, in the last time it happened, because that was a lot of Groudon, a lot of Kyogre, and even Lugia and Pokemon like that, so Gastrodon with the Rain Dish was able to kind of make usage of that in the singles. Also, Lightning Rod Pokemon get viability in this, so we have Manectric hold off a Mega Evolution. Now we have Megas involved. So I feel that Megas is going to make it to where you have effectively 3 legendary Pokemon on your team, and then 1 potential crazy off-the-wall normal Pokemon, or you could just bring all other legendaries. Like, I think Thundurus might be a bit more of a problem, because Thundurus with Kyogre is insane. But overall, if we look at the way that the format played out, it was really interesting. So right here, I was able to dig up some articles. Parasect versus the World, 2010 Worlds Retrospective. So this guy brought Parasect and ended up getting 5th place at the 2010 World Championships. So this is what I mean by like off-the-wall picks. So we had Groudon, we had Jumpluff, we had Dialga. So he was running the Dialga with Trick Room to try to counter out some of the strategies. Again, weird picks. So I mean, instead of using just Lugia and just anything, like Lugia was huge with Kyogre. I think those were the 2 most used. So instead of using just those, you could bring another legendary to counter out their strategies. We had a Bomb of Snow for weather resets, because like this is the only problem. With like the Mega Rayquaza and the Airlock, it's going to be hard to bring like an anti-weather, but back then it was really neat. So maybe if you bring, I don't even know what could work in this situation, but yeah, we might see a lot more Fairy and just raw Dragon power because of the Mega Rayquaza. So yeah, we also had Mewtwo with the Iron Ball, Mewtwo Iron Ball for the Trick Room. That was something that ended up catching a lot of people off guard. We have Dry Skin on that Parasect. It's just going to be able to benefit. So I mean, these Pokemon were finding interesting usage. Seed Bomb, so you Spore into Seed Bomb under that Trick Room, and Parasect was apparently getting a good amount of work done as an attack hit points tank. So, I think this is actually going to be a good thing. We can also look at the finals. Now the finals was Ray Rizzo, and it was also Yasuki Tochigi, and this is going to be like showing what the teams had. A lot of them had Lugia, Kyogre was pretty much a main, and Ludicolo. So, I mean, if you find ways of stopping out the Ludicolo and the Kyogre, you can do that, or you can just run the hardest core meta. Now, I'm wondering if maybe Game Freak just has, like, a super ridiculous fetish for Ludicolo, which is why they introduced this format. Because if you're going to have a Primal battle kind of setup, you know Ludicolo is going to be in it. So yeah, one of the biggest benefits Pokemon. So maybe they just, like, sing it at Worlds a lot, and whenever there's Rain Alive, you're going to see a Ludicolo maybe in the finals. So that could be one of Game Freak's hidden things. That's the only reason why they're doing this, is just so there's more Ludicolo. So I mean, you can counter out the Ludicolo a bit. There's a good amount of options here, honestly. Also, Lickilicky got play, so right here, it pretty much says everything. Primordial Sea and Desolate Land can't be stopped by other weather effects like Sandstorm or Hail, but a Pokemon with the Cloud 9 ability still negates their effects while on the field. So that is something to consider. It was especially dangerous on teams with Kyogre. Even Groudon had it activated. Lickilicky switches in. Kyogre can easily knock out the Groudon. So, anti-meta. For some reason, we're going to see all these crazy, potentially over-centralizing legendaries, but then the Pokemon supporting them will be tech. They will be counter picks. They will be the anti-meta. So, I mean, we might even see lower usage legendaries counter-centralizing these other legendaries. It's going to be something wild. Now, the Primal Battle did force you to use Primal Groudon or Primal Kyogre, so it doesn't tell the full story. However, it is something that's really interesting to think about. So, I mean, see some other Pokemon, Infernape. One thing that was pretty serious was, like, Hitmontop with Kyogre. That was shutting down a lot of fools back then. Tyranitar, so that way you could clear weather if you needed it to. So, it's going to be a very huge team setup. I don't know how much this is going to stress on, like, the way the meta's been, where, like, you try to hyper switch until you gain advantage. But I think this is a really, really good step for Pokemon. As for potential team builds, this actually makes my job easier, because now I can make legendary teams, and that's always fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. VGC 2016, honestly, a really good format. Problem is, it does open a gateway for hackers, and that's going to be pretty problematic. I think that's my biggest gripe with it, is that more people are going to be inclined to hack, even though you have access to all of the legendary Pokemon between X and Y and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which should have been the first 10. In Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which was the last time this format happened, you had access to all of the legendaries up to that point, because you could catch Kyogre and Groudon in Heart Gold or Soul Silver, and you also had access to Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina from Diamond Pearl, so everything was accessible in that generation. they did it again, and that's why the VGC format is here for us, and I'm honestly excited. I think we might, if people want to explore, if people want to branch out of their comfort zone, we might see some really cool shenanigans, and maybe the finals might be like one of the most diverse teams we've ever seen. So if you guys enjoyed, well actually we can't top Sejun Park, but anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you all have a nice day. Thank you for watching.